Today, gonna try a little bit of Bondo. I've never done it before, but I'm gonna give it a go, try and fill in some of the little dents and some of the little tiny holes in body panels and start to get this thing a little bit closer to being ready to be painted. So yeah, kind of excited. I think it'll be fun. And we'll see how easy or hard it is. First things first, I'm gonna work on this fender. And there's kind of a big shallow dent there. There was a pretty big dent right here, but I already hammered it out mostly. So I'm gonna hammer it a little bit more. Then there's some rust holes down on this part of it, and some rust holes down here, and a few little minor things here and there. So first things first, I'm gonna wash this, clean it up. Then I'm gonna try and do a little bit more hammering to try and pull out some of these dents a little bit more. All right, washed, sanded, taped, prepped, and I think I'm ready to put on the first coat of Bondo on all of these spots. There's lots of videos on YouTube where you can see all the steps I'm taking. So that's kind of just how I did it. I looked at a couple of videos and now I'm gonna try and recreate what they did. First, a very thin coat to bond to the metal. Then a second coat that's a little bit thicker while it's still wet, just to try and fill in some of the gaps. And then you let it dry and sand it, and then you start over. All right, well, I think that's done, just doing all that Bondo. There's like was it 4 coats? I can't even remember now. But I'm actually pretty impressed. It feels very smooth. Those dents are gone. The holes are gone. And it all just sanded down real nice. I'm pretty happy with it. I think it's gonna look great. I can just do a spray can of a bit of primer on top just to keep it from rusting while we do the rest of the car. And I gotta do Bondo on all of it, all the dents. Okay, so I put a little primer on it, and you can see that the primer revealed a little bit of unevenness. It's gonna need a little bit more sanding, but it's a lot better than it was, and I was gonna have to do some more sanding anyway, so I'm all right with that. Still a good first go at putting on Bondo. today, so fingers crossed. Heading over there right now. All right, here we go. Leon powder coating. Let's see if they got my crossbow. All right, it was done, and here it is. Not gonna unwrap it right now, but it looks pretty good. All the rust is gone and it's nicely coated. That's gonna look really good in the engine bay. I'm psyched. Okay, today I'm gonna start out by trying to do a fiberglass fix to this undercarriage bit here, which kind of a bit of rust. It's out of sight, out of mind, and I kind of forgot about. But it's totally not structural, and I think with a little fiberglass covering this, it should be fine, and it won't be visible, so if I don't do the perfect job, that's okay, because it's the first time I've ever done fiberglass. So yeah, we're gonna see how it goes. Should be kind of fun. I've watched people do it with surfboards, and I've seen a video or two of people doing it on cars, but I've never done it myself, so I don't know, partly excited, partly a little nervous. So we'll see how it goes today. First thing, I gotta scuff it and sand it, try and get as much of the primer off as I can, get down to the bare metal, and then I'll prep the surface with fiberglass. I think that is pretty well metal prepped now. Now it's to clean it, and then I can start to mix up the fiberglass, put it on there. Okay, here goes. That is messy, but I think it's kind of working. It's covering that hole pretty well. Yeah, a lot of fibers come off and make a mess everywhere, but that's okay. That's why I got the drop cloth down here, and I guess I'll try and attack this other hole over here now, and it's a little bit smaller, a little more straightforward. That is 2 overlapping coats of fiberglass, and I'm gonna let that all cure. Then I can sand it and Bondo it. So, fun. Messy, but fun. All right, it's all dry now, and I'm gonna start to sand it down and shape it. Decided to wear this Tyvek suit so that I don't get the fiberglass fibers all over me and in my clothes, and hopefully not into my skin. But it's very hard, and so I think it should sand off, and once it's sanded down, I will then put in some Bondo and just try and fill it out a bit. I've got it all sanded now. That's just a rough sanding with 80 grit sandpaper so that it's got a good surface for the Bondo to bind to. And now I'm gonna start mixing up some Bondo and slathering it on. Okay, I officially hate sanding, but I'm getting closer and I'm gonna keep going. You might say, why don't you buy a power sander? Well, that's a very good question, and I don't know the answer to it. So sanding is complete. That's about as much sanding as I'm gonna do on this. It's a pretty nice, smooth surface. The rough bits are way underneath where no one will ever see them, so I'm not gonna go too nuts on those. But it's all looking pretty good. And I'm just gonna put a bit of primer on it, because there's a lot of bare metal. All this bit that I've sanded around it is now just bare steel, so I'm gonna give it a little primer to make sure that it doesn't rust. So that is sanding 2 layers of fiberglass, sanding 3 layers of Bondo, sanding, more sanding, fine sanding, and then primer. And I don't think I'm gonna have to touch this again until I paint it. So little bits of progress every week. And I really appreciate you watching, and I hope you come back and watch the next one. I'll see you then.